And we're live for another Coaching Wisdom pod. Today with us is Paul Donkers. He's live from Netherlands. He has a cool setup. You'll be able to see it in a couple seconds. He's a business coach, serial entrepreneur, and all about value creation. He's a partner at Tèn Company. And today we're going to talk about a bunch of things, including purpose, strategy, execution, management, Ikigai, and everything in between. So Paul, really glad to have you on. Can you tell us a bit more about yourself and Tèn?
Yeah, of course. Happy to. Thanks for the invitation, Charles. I'm happy to be with you this late afternoon here in the Netherlands, indeed. So yeah, like you said, my name is Paul Donkers. After a corporate career, like a classic corporate career, working what I used to call working as an intrapreneur, I decided, when I was almost turning 40, that it just wasn't for me. I learned so many things as an intrapreneur, but I also learned that, being part of the big corporate system just was not my way of, contributing. Let's put it like that. So I decided to leave my corporate, big job, beginning of 2009. You may remember that this was, in hindsight, the beginning of the financial crisis. So Lehman Brothers kind of, fell over when I went to the Chamber of Commerce. We had two daughters. Well, we still have two daughters, but, they were around 10 years old. So this was quite a, difficult situation, but I was, my wife always completely supported me in my choice, leaving my corporate, secure lifestyle mid-career. And I've created Tèn Company, beginning of 2009, focusing on three things. One was, executive coaching, working with leaders, working with general managers. Second was leadership team coaching, so working with the leadership teams as a whole. And the third arm was, more in the consulting space, working with, organizations around strategy, but even more so also helping them to actually execute strategy. So these are the three things that I built Tèn Company around as a, let's say, a small boutique firm with a small group of trusted partners, delivering work to our clients.
The transition, was it that obvious? Did it feel natural, or was it like really uncomfortable?
To me, it felt very comfortable. To some of the people, around me, even closer friends, were kind of, I think, surprised. I do recall some of the conversations with my peers when I was in corporate or with my bosses that they kind of, are you sure? Are you sure you want to leave? You're late, you're leaving a high-paid job. Of course, I had a big company card, and I had a business card that read something like, senior vice president, etc. But, I really felt very deep that, it just wasn't for me. So yes, it was a big change, but for me, it felt very natural. It's something I just had to do it. And, I believe that there's sometimes momentum in life, and the outside world I cannot change, whether Lehman Brothers falls or not. It's not in my hands. But I didn't want to get older and think back that I should have done it earlier on or whatever. So I think I had the experience from the inside, working in a big corporate, and I was young enough to create something new myself from scratch.
Your partners, how did you choose them, and how did you gain trust with them?
Yeah, so what I still do, actually, I build trust slowly. So what I do with partners, I maintain a large, industry network. So I come across a lot of people. And sometimes when I work with a person and the person is available, and the love has to come from two sides, right? When a person is available and he or she has, a real tangible background, I have a strong preference to work with ex-business people, people that were running a big P&L, a big profit and loss center, have commercial responsibility, worked as a general manager. I have an extra interest because they know how tough it is when you are in a company, and they know what the pressure is really like. And then if they have, good communication skills, are really interested also in developing their consultancy and their coaching side of their skill set, I will probably, have some conversations with them. And then at some point, I will try something, doing something together with them, something small, something bigger. And then based on this, we get close, but it's very organic, Charles. It's not really like a moment, so I hire you or so. It's a very organic process. And, I don't believe, lifetime jobs are gone anyway. So, when people come in and go out again, that's perfectly fine for me. So, yeah.
So I guess back in the days where you were making a fortune and you were dealing with really high P&L must have felt good. But you weren't reaching your full Ikigai. Tell us about that Ikigai back in the days, what parts were lacking, and your Ikigai of now up to this day.
Yeah, no, that's a great question. So, Ikigai is something very special. It's really special to my heart. But talking about, more finding your purpose and, finding meaning in your job and finding happiness in your job on an everyday basis. I learned that when I created a company in a company, when I started my career. But this company grew within, I told you about the global corporate structure that we were working in. So as a result of the growth, our own small company got more and more on the radar. So my job became increasingly less entrepreneurial, more political, more pressure, instead of, giving some of the people really space to be entrepreneurial. So I only saw my maneuvering space decreasing, and this was really draining all my energy away. So, at some point I saw that I couldn't change it. So this was a pretty easy choice actually, because I couldn't change it. So I had to leave. So, I still love what I do. I love to work with clients. I love to deliver coaching and consulting, but doing it on my own again or with a small group and really being truly independent gave me the opportunity to live my Ikigai again, because it never feels like work. It's just a completely integrated way of life. And I remember from my days in corporate that I was pretty strict in work-life balance, and now it's much more, fluid, which feels much more natural.
And for the audience, Ikigai, what you're good at, what can make money, what the market wants. What's the fourth one?
Yeah, how does something contribute to the planet? Make the world a bit of a better place. Yeah,
love it.
So
You've worked with various institutions and taught people and read a bunch of books. So in terms of education, I see Harvard, I see MIT Sloan's School of Management, I see Marshall Goldsmith, I see all the books. Yeah. Sorry?
No, I thought you were looking at the books here, but you were looking at the screen.
The nerd kid that I told you about, I look at your Instagram with all the books that you've read. What was your best return on investment there? Something that you invested in your education and it brought like 100x fold returns.
Okay, so I guess, my all-time favorite book when it comes to, executive development, professional development is probably What Got You Here Won't Get You There from Marshall Goldsmith. It's so extremely pragmatic, and it's so, written in such a crisp way that I have had, it added a lot of value for me personally, but also to almost everybody I gave it to throughout the years. It really spoke to them, and it still gives me, a great way to go into a coaching program with somebody using some of the stuff that's in the book.
Right. The company, Tèn, what do you do, for whom, at what price, and what's the expected outcome?
Okay, so price is something. Let's start with price. So price is something that is based on the specs or specifications of a mission. So it's really hard to to say what kind of pricing is involved. But I think as a rule of thumb, what so we do missions anywhere, let's say between 10,000 euros, which is a bit a bit more than a bit more in US, but 10,000 euros and 100 or 200,000 euros per year. That's kind of the space we are in. Again, when you work with an individual, it's a different price tag than when you work with a leadership team or when you work with an entire organization. Having said that, when I work with a CEO or one of his or her direct reports, my work also influences, this person, and that kind of cascades or trickles down, to the leadership team and to the organization. So, what often happens is that we work with one-on-one with some of the top people, we work with the leadership team, and we work with the entire organization. And that's also, an answer to your other question, who do you work with and what do you do? So, it's one-on-one work, it's teamwork, and it's working on the organization, on, on what I like to call the what and the how. So the how is how you do things, how you behave, what is your executive behavior, what are your habits, how do you lead, how do you communicate, how is your your strategic approach to things, versus the what. What are you actually focusing on, what are your strategic pillars, what is the purpose of your organization, how are you executing stuff, and how are you following up on the execution. So for us, when we're working with clients, usually we kind of integrate everything. In terms of type of clients, it's for profit and not for profit. Let's say 90% of our clients is in the private sector, and then 10% or so are some NGOs that we work with.
How do you get these new clients typically? Do you outreach to them? Is it referrals? Is it SEO?
It's, in our industry, advertising doesn't make any sense. The only thing that really works at the end of the day, and I'm in this industry for 30 years, and this is already something, we were asking ourselves 30 years ago, how do I sell this? Because that's one of the key questions, right? And the very simple answer to that question is, twofold. One is mouth-to-mouth promotion, and second is have patience. I've seen so many people in this industry, especially on the coaching side, who are too impatient. They want to do business, they are too eager to do business. They take on the wrong coaching missions. They sell their time too cheap. And they end up getting only more and more of these kind of, coaching missions that they shouldn't have taken on in the first place. So selling in this industry is something pretty complicated. But if when you get a mission and you under-promise, over-deliver, and you're patient, I think you have two very important building blocks there.
You post a lot on various platforms on LinkedIn. Do you have a content strategy there, or is it just a way for you to think and learn better?
Content strategy sounds so, so huge. It's not really like that. What I'm doing is I am selective in the channels I work with. I've kind of recently decided to leave Twitter, or X, it's called X these days. Every now and then we look on Facebook, but we learned that Facebook is not our channel. We do some Instagram, but that's more, because it's really easy to, do a picture every now and then, and it's kind of fun to work with. And then, our primary channel is LinkedIn. So, I think in terms of, talking to our audience, it's, I think, two big chunks. One is LinkedIn, that we indeed regularly make sure that we post, but always only added value. never selling something, but only adding value. So always giving something to our audience without giving everything away, of course. And secondly is that we do some direct mailing, which still proves to be very effective. And I know that, it can be very irritating, of course, also in my own email box. So we are also here, we restrain ourselves. We make sure that we only add value for people who take the effort to open the email. And it's a selective audience. So we make sure that, that's the way for us to, our added value strategy.
What are your objectives for the rest of this year?
That's a great question. So, I can see usually the seasonal pattern in our industry is that most of our clients' work fiscal year runs from January to December. What usually happens is in January, it's a fresh year. Everybody has their meetings again. They kind of also, decide a couple of things on, where we're going to spend some development money, people, on consulting, coaching, etc. So usually our, March, April, May, June are our best months. Then we have a dip in the summer. And then, in Q4, we get some of the business back. So I do expect that some of it will come back in the rest of Q4. And but we've been very busy already in the first 6 months. So a lot of companies are a bit of catching up after COVID, I guess. They kind of stopped developing, or we weren't able to do workshops, for instance. And now this kind of they're catching up, it looks like.
Last question. You're on your deathbed. What will you want to leave as a legacy on this planet Earth?
So what I do hope, with the Ikigai Coaching Institute, we put in two big goals. One is to touch at least 100,000 people to unlock their Ikigai. So I hope I've made some progress there, or exceeded it, or it's something that continues to move forward. And secondly, I'm hoping to contribute to this industry that, a lot of great coaches that I know are finally able to make a decent and healthy living out of this job, because a lot of them are underpaid. They love what they do, but economically it's terrible for a lot. So
you think that AI will replace or enhance coaches?
Absolutely not. Not a nanosecond that I think that will happen.
Well, the question was enhance or replace. So like which one? Enhance or replace?
No, it will be enhanced.
Okay.
I think, but it will never, but robots will never replace the human interaction.
Oof, that's a controversial one.
Yeah.
Explain to me why.
I was the last question.
Because I mean, a robot is like yeah, it wasn't the last question. A robot is like a human extension, right? So it's like a spear that is being used to hunt better. So we are robots. We're already cyborg. That's one. And two, I think a robot that is, until we merge with them, can learn and can be reproduced. The human brain we don't understand it fully yet, but I don't think it is hard to reproduce. And I think we can even improve ourselves with that. It's like technology, right? I think that this would be the equivalent of saying like, I won't use cell phones because I just rather like talk to someone physically. I think it's just like it will enhance us and it will become us and it will become better than us. I think it's just that we're not used to talking to good AIs, but once the AI is equal, if not better than a human, I think we'll get really used to it quickly, even though there will be a seal of this is an AI, this is not a human, legally speaking.
Yeah, I'm absolutely like you, and it's very difficult to be very opinionated because I don't know the future and you do not the future either. So we are both kind of guessing the future, right? But at the end of the day, we both just have an opinion.
It's more than an opinion, because it's just like using all these tools on a daily basis and just seeing it evolve and seeing it replace some of the humans I have in my company. It slashed 80% of the humans in my company this year. I guess, there's not a lot of people testing all these tools on a daily basis, but I think also that will be like the alphas in business that will be using these tools extensively. And I'm constantly preparing my day, not for the D-Day, but there will be such a day in which we're going to see like super explosions of productivity with AI. Apparently this happens every week, according to some AI hype influencers. And you know what? They're not like fully wrong. Like every week there's like a new and not shiny thing, but really useful tool. For example, nowadays I'm thinking to convert a Wikipedia article, which are super entertaining, business ones, and make videos out of them with an AI. So, and soon enough, there will be this Charles avatar making these interviews. I don't think you'll be able to tell the difference actually, because, and last but not least, it's not only humans in my business, it's me observing myself. I fancy myself as a quite smart person, and I realize that I am not that smart, and that most of which I'm doing on a daily basis in the productivity realm of things, even in the coaching realm of things, when I speak to my team, I'm not that good at it, and I can really feel that we have all the tech we need today to fully replace me in many areas. It's just that smart humans haven't got together and pack it up together like OpenAI did with ChatGPT to build a product, Anyway, that's also contrarian take, but your take in my world is contrarian, but I'm the real contrarian here. Like most people would agree with what you said.
Yeah. But let me also, underline that I'm not an expert. I don't want to see I can only speak for myself. For me, it's an opinion, and I'm not sure. So, but I'm extremely interested, and I'm also following the developments quite closely. Perhaps not as close as you are developing them. For instance, last week, I didn't look at my LinkedIn profile for a long time, and I did some wordsmithing in the past, and then I asked, the bot to improve my text, and it was better than I could ever have done. So now my LinkedIn profile is partly written by chat. So I'm really curious to see what's going to happen, and I'd love, Charles. So keep me posted when you're ready that your chatbot is going to interview me, because I'm interested to deliver the interview.
I'm signing you up on the wait list.
And you can talk to my avatar.
Yeah, that I'll try to have yours done. Like hopefully I'll be able to find a tech that will make it incredibly cheap. I can already do it from a chatbot perspective. Let me know if you want that. I have a company that does that. So we take all your posts, right, on your LinkedIn, on your company, and we build a Paul GPT. So yeah,
let me chew on that.
Yeah, no, it's really cool. So I can ask you questions, and it would respond me the way Paul would, with your current knowledge, your current IQ. Obviously, you don't put everything online, so it won't be 100% of you, but let's say will be at least 50% of you. I'm not sure how much of a digital guy you are, but if we assume that 50% of Paul is online, then it will be 50% of you, right?
Well, I kind of keep my private life, kind of separate to the extent.
Okay.
It's not that I never share anything, but my reasoning is more, does it contribute to, my professional reputation?
Right.
But I restrain myself there. But
yeah.
I'm happy to, really happy and really curious.
Yeah, and it's so easy, it's like WordPress. Anyone can do it. It's super duper easy, and that's the kind of technology I'm talking about. And also, I want to add a caveat there. I'm no expert. And guess what? The AI researcher, he's not an expert as well. Why? Because he doesn't have a full view of the market. I don't like the word expert, but if anything, I think I have an interesting bird's eye view position of interviewing a bunch of AI folks, CEOs, and so forth, that places me in an interesting spot. Doesn't mean I'm right, but I'm gonna make my bets public on my website so that everyone can see the probability of it happening and the weight of the bet, right? So let's say that I estimate that AGI will happen in 5 years, and I have an 80% comfort probability of this happening, which is like, I'm pretty confident. It's not comfort, it's confidence. Nice having you, Paul. I'm getting fired up. I need to run, but where can people find out more about you?
So if you just go to my my LinkedIn page, Paul Donkers, you will find me. If you go to tèncompany.org, you will find everything that you need.